If you're someone who is looking for answers on how to handle fear, why does fear happen at first place, and so much more, or rather all and everything about fear, then this video is just meant for you. Welcome back, and I'm Pujita Singh, a certified life coach, NLP coach, and an author. This video is one of the requested videos by one of my subscriber, and the request is to talk about fear and what do we do about it, why does it happen at first place, and so much more. So this is a response to that request, and what I wanted to talk to my lovely viewers out there who is listening to me, or ended up accidentally coming on this video, then there is definitely a message for you, and hence you have been here. So don't take this as ignorance. I would request you to go back and listen to the complete video, because there is definitely at least one takeaway for you, and hence you landed up here. Why do fear happen at first place, right? There are things that we have seen since the time we are born, especially at the age of 7. Till the age of 7 is the most imprint that we end up having in our minds. Anything that we see which is not a great thing to watch, whether at home, whether outside, whether in your life, you end up catching up that negative thought into feelings, and then you intensify it, and it kind of creates an impact on you, and that becomes a response, an emotional response or a physical response in your body, and that becomes a fear. Right now, is fear a good thing or a bad thing? Fear is definitely good as well, but at the same time it's something that you need to definitely work on. Why fear is a good thing? Because if we don't have fear in us, I think, like for example, if you're going to touch something which is hot, which is fire, you end up burning yourself. So that's a good indication for your body and your emotional response that there is a fire, and hence you need to step back, right? It's protecting you. So basically, fear in a way protects you. But what happens when this fear is created by us? This fear is created by what we watch or what we have observed in our life. For example, the most common thing that I've heard, I've seen, is women, for example. I'm not labeling or generalizing this, but having a fear of reptile like lizard, right? And they get so much scared that they don't be near around that area, and they just run away thinking that this lizard might come and fall on them, right? But actually lizard is not going to fall on them. It may happen accidentally, like one in thousands of such cases, but lizard in general will not fall on you. But we end up thinking this, that it might fall on us, and then what happens? It only intensifies in your head, so much so that it is impacting you, your time, your emotions, and so much more, right? Biggest fears, some of them that I can talk about, is maybe fear of public speaking, right? This is one such fear that I had for several years, until I understood why this was happening, where this started, and how is this impacting me. Now, how did I realize that this is impacting me? Because I was not growing. It was impacting me big time, because as a student or as a child during my childhood, I heard enough from my English teacher where she said, I'm not good at English. Right? Now, what happened? That fear translated into fear of public speaking. That fear translated into hating English language as a subject. Right? I've heard a lot with some of the students, especially on math subject. Right? Most of them don't like maths only because of, unfortunately, the education system, especially the math teacher. Yeah, there are far and few cases which are positive ones as well, but majority of the cases comes from we developing that fear of math from the maths teacher, right? So when fear is something that's impacting you in your day-to-day life, in your growth, in your life as such, you're not able to enjoy things. Like for example, people have fear of water, right? They don't swim. Or fear of heights, they don't go for any adventurous trip. People have fear of taking a flight, right? So what happens in that case? They cannot go for any international travel. Maybe domestic they will somehow manage it, but international they can never travel. So one request here to people who landed on this video is understand how is this fear impacting you today. It could be fear of driving, it could be fear of maybe taking a big step in your life, or maybe fear of even taking a small step in your career. There could be anything, right? Go back and understand where this was triggered at first place. Was this triggered by any teacher during your school days, or was this triggered back home by any of your close family members, or you developed that fear by watching someone in your loved one's life, or in your near and dear one's life, right? I can give one classic example that I commonly hear these days, because as a coach, this is what I encounter when people share their stories with me. I see people developing fear of getting into relationships or commitments for life or getting married. Why? Because they saw broken marriages when they were growing up as a child, right? They saw their family members fighting as a partner or as a spouse and not respecting each other. What happens to the child? The child develops hate towards commitment like a marriage, and they run far away from it as much as they can, or they might end up getting into broken relationships again because they are attracting the same thing again and again. Now, what is the message out here? First is understanding if this fear is helping you. If this fear is helping you, then that means that's the real fear, like fear of fire, fear of not getting into some wrong things which is going to be harmful for you. That is all good. But if that fear is imaginary, which is created by your head, then that is not right. So go back and understand, where was this fear created in you? Where did you pick this up from? Was that your family? Was that your upbringing? Was that your schooling or college days or anything, right? That is the second thing that you need to develop. Now, the third thing, if this fear is causing you so much damage that you are not able to function in your life, right? Maybe fear of lizard could be something which you can be ignorant about for some time. You can still run your life, right? Maybe you can call your family members or anything, then that should be fine. They will safeguard you. But if this fear, like fear of darkness, right? Fear of being alone, fear of getting into marriage, or anything which is big one in life, or fear of public speaking, these are all big ones in life. I'm just giving you some examples for you to understand. If these fears are creating a damage for you to have a successful life or an expansive life, then you got to work on it, right? You got to ensure that you see a therapist, or you work with any of the coaches that you are aware of, whom you can trust, and work with them. Because what happens is, if you have to work on any of these fears, they will go back into your past, and you should be comfortable in sharing your past with someone with whom you can talk and have a safe space to work on it, right? These fears, if they have to work at a core level and you have to work at a root level, you got to speak to someone who is a coach or work with a therapist, right? These are all safe spaces where you can go back and start working on it. These things cannot be worked out at a surface level. You cannot work on any of the fears at a surface level. Even if you can, that will be very, very temporarily, which will not help you at all. So most importantly, you got to take an action. If you don't take an action, you will only regret. Okay? So very clearly, if it's a fear of getting into marriage, don't you think that's the most hurtful thing that can happen to any human being? He or she deserves to have a partner. He or she deserves to be happy with someone in life. So don't you think these are the things that someone has to work on it? Right? So very clearly, first get the awareness, understand the trigger point. Fourth, understand the pattern, right? And last but not the least is call to action, which means take an action. It's gonna be uncomfortable. It's not gonna be easy. You might cry for hours together, but that's absolutely fine as long as you're not crying for the rest of your life, right? And when these fears are not treated well, they get into anxiety, and that anxiety becomes your phobia. This is the most dangerous thing that can happen to any person. Any phobia is not good at all, right? Which means it can create any kind of body dysfunction, it can create any kind of a huge impact in life, it can create breathlessness, it could create stomach ache, it could create any kind of a physical damage to your body. So phobias are the extreme levels. You definitely got to see a therapist. I can talk about phobias in some other video, some other day, but this one today is all about fears. And it's all in your head. There is a favorite quote of mine which I generally talk to my people who reach out to me for guidance and help. Fear is a lie. Okay? So it's all in your head. It's all in your thoughts. But with this thought and with this thinking, you cannot get rid of a fear. You got to work with someone and erase this at a subconscious or an unconscious level. There are a lot of people as kids, especially that I can talk about, have fear of parents, right? Fear of scoring low, right? And so much more. Who is creating all this? It's their environment. It's unfortunately their loved ones, their close parents maybe. Okay? So very clearly start working on it before it's too late, and take professional help. Like I keep saying in all my videos, for medical help we go to a doctor. For financial help we go to a financial expert. For mental wellness you got to see a therapist or a coach who can work with you at a safe space, comfortable space, and at a grassroots level. Okay? So with that, I hope you found something useful out of this video today, and you should be able to go back and start implementing. It's never too late. All I would say and request is you would lose the number of years, months, and days together that you have lost already. Why to lose that in the future? With that, thank you so much for listening to me patiently as always, and thank you for showering your love, affection, time, attention to my videos, right? I do see a lot of engagement of late where people are reaching out to me, people are seeking out for help, and so much more. I would love to do this community service, and hence I'm here on this platform. With that, love you loads. Take good care of yourself as always. Until then, bye-bye.